9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
What up, y'all? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. TK Trinidad here for Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. This is the WWT Live edition, the Monday edition. So much to talk about on our road to WrestleMania. I am not alone. The PR queen herself, Courtney Rice, is in the building. How are you doing?
Hey guys, happy Monday. I just can't believe we're on the road to WrestleMania. I mean, of course, we have Dynasty this weekend, but lots to cover between now and later this month.
A lot of Black excellence on both sides, which I'm really excited about. I just realized that it's been happening for a while, but I'm really excited to talk about it. We will get into SmackDown, but I do want to talk about Athena making her AEW debut, which I mean, you cover AEW for us week in, week out. I think a lot of people have been, requesting Athena to make her AEW debut. And based off of what has happened, I think is the perfect time. So what do you think about what happened? Do you think the timing was right? Do you think it was too soon? It should have happened months ago. What's your overall thoughts?
I think the timing of it was very well, but the fact Mercedes was in a feud with Billy Starks, because if people have not been paying attention to Ring of Honor, that is one of Athena's minions. And I think it made a lot of sense, because when I did my watch along, I was like, is that Billy Starks? And it was just like 2 weeks she was in it, and then she faced off against Mercedes, and Mercedes made a comment saying who trained her. And if you saw the Twitter war they were having with each other, it was only a matter of time when this was going to happen. And both of them will be in the Owen Hart Women's Tournament, which is going to be very interesting on Wednesday on who's facing who. This is going to be very interesting, especially on the road to All In, because I know people have been wanting to have Mercedes and Athena, but also I think it would be nice to sneak that in with the Ring of Honor Supercard, because that is happening in May. And plus, if they really, really, really want to get a lot of butts in seats, it would be nice for them to at least have a little face off with each other. Or it could be something in a tag team match, like Athena and Billy Starks taking on Mercedes and whoever she wants as a partner. So at least it can continue that storyline going. And also, I understand with Collision, because I just realized the ladies main evented on Collision this past weekend. It was Jamie Hager. It was supposed to be Queen Amanada, but she injured her wrist, and it was Billy Starks that was in the main event. And we got to see Athena facing off against Jamie Hager, who's also in the Owen Hart Women's Tournament. So there's a lot. It's going to be a lot of lots to happen for Wednesday. We'll be talking about this more on Wednesday and also in my watch along as well. But there is a lot to cover. But I'm happy Athena. It was just the perfect timing, and it had to create a segue.
Yeah. Shout to Eric Isaac in the chat. Also Jeffrey in the chat. He was saying it's about time. We've been waiting for this moment. I agree, but I think the timing was actually perfect. What up, special little nobodies as well. So thank you guys for being in the chat. Yeah, I think we've been calling for it, and this is oftentimes, I mean, obviously we don't know who made the call, or if this was like I would refer to this as did you watch the TV show This Is Us?
Yeah, I've heard of the show. My mom, my sister watch that every week.
Okay. So the crazy thing about This Is Us is how it started, right? They had it all planned out. Like they knew what the ending was before it even started. So it tied in because they had different lives. You were jumping, times. They were in their 20s, 30s, blah, blah. And it feels like they've always had this plan. At least, that's what I'm hoping. Not like, oh, well, let's do something. Now is the time. What up, cousin Ron in the chat? I'd like to see Athena with one of those belts. I mean, how would that play out? Because Mercedes has been dominating for quite some time. I don't know if you know the extent of her contract, but it's just kind of like it seems like she's truly the belt collector. Do you think that do you think that she'll be letting go of one of those belts anytime soon to Athena?
It's very hard to say because I know Mercedes has not lost yet, and she wants more gold because she's in the tournament as well. So it's a possibility, and I'm just gonna say this: one loss is not gonna kill her. It's not gonna be the end all be all, but it's just like who is gonna be the right person that she's gonna lose to, and especially with Athena being the forever Ring of Honor Women's Champion, she's beaten almost everybody at Ring of Honor. So it's kind of like Mercedes kind of has to put her over. I mean, one loss is not going to kill her. It's not the end all be all because we know she's one of the best in the ring to do it. It's just a matter of time on when she's going to have her first loss.
This is actually very interesting because you're saying one loss is not going to kill you. And I don't think people who are competitive, regardless if it's wrestling or not, like to lose. Yep. Right? So, Athena's been going strong. Mercedes is who she is. It's really interesting how this is going to play out. I actually really like this because you honestly don't know, because there's the real life that's happening, and it's also what's happening in the wrestling life. Like they're both kind of almost evenly matched up as far as, yes, Mercedes has more belts, but Athena's been killing it in the ROH for years now. And this is going to be interesting, is like, okay, well, is she gonna get a belt, or is this going to be like nobody gets a belt? And I mean, who is going to take that L? Because then that will also dictate what's to come next. Because I feel like Mercedes can't take Athena's belt, because then that completely squashes Athena. I mean, then Athena could do the chase, but then that kind of really kills the momentum and who she is and all this other stuff. But I now I'm kind of talking, I think it's better off if Athena takes a belt, but then will Mercedes be okay with that? A lot of things to play.
It's a lot. And also, I just want to point in there, Mina Shirokana is going to get a number one contender shot for the New Japan Strong women's belt. So that's another thing too, because she has to defend that New Japan Strong, because she's going to be part of an event with New Japan in May. So that's another thing to consider. And I want to say it's the same weekend AEW is coming to Atlantic City for Ring of Honor. So something has to give, but
something has to give.
It's just like something has to give.
We'll see. Jeffrey saying 800 days as ROH Women's Champion, which is crazy. Hey, Louis, how are you doing? Another thing we're going to talk about, talking about WrestleMania. This is the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania, which is insane. It was held on May 31st, 1985 at Madison Square Garden in New York City. This is the first big event that Vince McMahon put on. So 40 years, seeing where it is now. I mean, we'll definitely, I'll just kind of put it out there now. We'll segue into like Walemania and the big news that's coming with that. Seeing everything that's happened with WrestleMania, where it started, having, the Muhammad Ali, the Run DMCs, the Salt and Peppers. You guys know, fun fact, they were in, I think it was WrestleMania 2 or 3, to where we are now, heading into Vegas, 2-night event. I want to say, did you see this happening? But I mean, I think we're both too young to like, oh yeah, this one started. I envision this. But as far as the excitement of it, what else is there to do? Like, you can't reinvent the real wheel, or can you, as far as WrestleMania is concerned?
I wouldn't say reinvent it, but it's just kind of finding ways to help elevate WrestleMania, because we both know WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of wrestling. We know it's like everybody wants to go. You want to bring in mainstream, you want to bring in sponsorships, you want to think about branding and also celebrities on what's part of, and especially you want to get in fans who have never even watched a wrestling show before and just be entertained with WrestleMania. And also, this is an opportunity on bringing in not just your top tier stars, but also stars in your mid-card, your women's division, your tag team division, an opportunity for them to showcase. Because going back, there's been a lot of moments And also going back to the first WrestleMania, you had Mr. T taking on Roddy Piper with Muhammad Ali as the referee. You also had Cyndi Lauper participate in the first WrestleMania, where she accompanied Wendy Richter. So there are so many things happening. And also, we're just getting into Vegas. And the matches, I mean, WrestleMania week, it's just hard to believe like we're that close to Vegas. And there's so many events that are happening during WrestleMania week.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it keeps on coming. I guess more closer to home, seeing what happened in Philly and, you know, how we were, even before that. Oh gosh, I was going to say, what was WrestleMania before that? It was LA. So seeing what happened to LA, and we were asking, like, we were begging for, well, not we, I would say more myself and whoever else is part of the rock community. We wanted the Rock to, like, Hollywood was going to be the perfect place, all this other stuff. And now we see how the storyline has progressed into Philadelphia and now where it is now. As far, it just keeps on figures, it just seems to be getting bigger. As far as the Rock is concerned and his involvement, are there any things that you're hoping to see? Any surprises as far as this WrestleMania is concerned?
I'm just curious on what's going to happen between John and Cody, because there's so much that could happening, especially because I know we're going to talk about SmackDown a little bit, but seeing the cliffhanger happen on SmackDown and also seeing that was not the favor for CM Punk, considering he's going to be main eventing night one. And also, I was on Honey's watch along and she asked me, like, what would be the favor? CM Punk wants gold. Don't even underestimate it. He wants gold. And after what he said after Elimination Chamber, he called The Rock and John Cena bald-headed frauds, saying that he never forgotten on screwing him at Elimination Chamber. And it's like, it's a possibility he could be a part of that triple threat match. Also, and actually, we are going to talk about Raw in a little bit, because another match was officially announced for WrestleMania. But we'll talk about Raw in a little bit. But also just seeing the clear picture, and also with the tag team divisions, because now it's just a matter of time on when's it going to be official. Also having a clear picture, because I would like to see the mid-card women's titles be a part of WrestleMania. So that would actually be something. And then, of course, our women's matches as well. So there is a lot of possibilities. And also, also going in with everything happening, you got the Hall of Fame, and also just announced that one of the matches from WrestleMania will be added to the Hall of Fame.
That's crazy. You have Jeffrey saying a lot of marketing going into WrestleMania. It's a hell of a lot of work that makes it as big as it is. But that's the thing. Another thing I'm like thinking about is like people that this is an event, right? And it went from, like, you know, 3 days to I'm assuming it's going to eventually be like a week. It's almost like, for you guys who don't know the reference, like Trinidad Carnival. Right. You have the one big day, but it's a 2-week affair leading up to it. Parties, bets, all the things. And I feel like this is what it's gonna end up being, where it's gonna lead into that. So, you know, we have a solid, let's say Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I feel like it's gonna extend to Monday, which is gonna be very tiring for a lot of folks. But you know, there's a lot of work, but I feel like the work wouldn't be put into place unless there's money involved. Like, let's, you know, there's a charitable aspect as far as that being in it, but let's be honest, if they weren't making money, it wouldn't be done. Plus WrestleMania After Dark, which leads right into what we are going to talk about next. So congratulations to Walemania. It's been 10 years. It's been announced that you're going to be able to view it on Netflix, which is crazy. It's amazing. I know part of the team over there, so congratulations to them. But that's that April 17th day, that everything that is non WWE related,
you have that, and you have TNA.
You have TNA. Melina's having an event. ACW is having an event. The place that ACW is having their event, which is Future Stars of Wrestling, there's like 8 shows that are going on that day, just in that school. So I mean, yeah. So Netflix presents Walemania, taking place April 17th at the Brooklyn Bowl, Las Vegas, the biggest wrestling party of the weekend. We'll have special guests, the Masked Man live show, and performances by Grammy-nominated MC and Grammy-nominated MC Wale. So he's going to be performing, and he's been doing this for a long time. It's just speaking of PR, I mean, obviously Netflix is you're watching not Raw on Netflix, which we're watching today. We have our post show going on with Sed later on this evening. Man, how big is this for one, wrestling, for two, the community? Because let's be honest, there's a lot of melanin happening on there. So for those two things, and then I guess not even I guess hip hop, the integration between all three of those is amazing. So you know, what's your thoughts on this? And as far as PR as well.
I think for me, because I'm not going to go with a fan, I'm going with my brain and the PR side and everything else with branding. It's really interesting to see because hip hop's been around for years. And I love the crossover. I actually like it when wrestling cross over to many things because you have no idea how much of a crossover. And especially in the hip hop world, you'd be very surprised how many people are wrestling fans. You'd be very surprised. And not just with Wale, but also West Side Gun as well. Like he has a wrestling promotion that he's doing. Like he just wrapped up one in Austin at an event in Austin a couple weeks ago. So it's just so awesome. And even some of the stars are really crossing over to hip hop because you see it not just like on the independent scene, you see it in WWE, you're seeing it in AEW, you're seeing it in all these other promotions as well. So I like that they're embracing the culture. And it's nice to see a lot of the hip hop artists come to these shows and also be acknowledged on TV. That's actually really nice to see because it's a good opportunity for them. And also, some of it is good, but of course, some of it, well, we talked about Travis Scott. We already know our reaction to it. But the point is just seeing them in the audience and also earlier this month when I was talking to West Side Gun during Queen of the Ring, I was actually asking him because he was there when Swerve won the title last year at Dynasty. So just getting his reaction on being there in person and seeing how he's taking off when he was champion and just entering the hip hop space. So he did say like he's very proud of him and just seeing him taking it to that next level and seeing him doing his own thing when it comes to music, meeting some of these other hip hop stars. It's really astonishing to watch. So it makes me happy to see a lot of crossovers like this in the wrestling world.
Yeah, it's crazy. One of the projects I was working on, or I am still working on, it has to do with that. So hopefully you guys will be able to see that project come out soon. Yeah, it's just I mean, Jeffrey just said, ring the bell. They're having something too with Gail Kim. Excuse me. I always say King. Gail Kim. And I believe Alicia Fox is going to be there as well. So they're having something on the 17th. It's just crazy where we are right now. You know, wrestling wasn't necessarily the thing. Even now, when I tell people like, you know, about this podcast and stuff, they look at me like, wait, what? But I've been doing the bulk of my traveling in the last, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years for wrestling events. I've gotten to go to a lot of cool places, you know, in the States and outside because of wrestling. So it's amazing how universal it is. It's bigger than what people think. Outside for Netflix, because they got it. No, this deal is massive, and I think it's for both the WWE and Netflix and Walemania and Netflix. It's a win-win situation, especially where Netflix was. I want to say mid pandemic. If you know, so a lot of their programming has changed over the years. So if you haven't picked that up, then you know, look back to the stuff they used to drop versus the stuff they drop now. But we're gonna let's get a little bit of the SmackDown results for last Friday. So is there anything that did you want to highlight or talk about that was your favorite moment?
I would probably say that signing was crazy. It was super, super crazy. And also Seth's face I just want Seth Rollins to be Psycho Seth. Just please let him be Psycho, because seeing him, I really thought he was really gonna go Psycho at that point, and especially seeing the interaction with CM Punk and Roman Reigns. But them main eventing night one, but still the cliffhanger is, what is the favor? That is the cliffhanger, and there's been many speculations because a lot of people think Paul Heyman's gonna betray Roman and go with CM Punk, maybe go with Seth. It's a possibility. Betrayals. He's done some things, so that's another thing. Also, it was nice to see Pretty Deadly come back home to the UK to face off against the Street Profits, because that tag team division has been on fire. It's been on fire, and they definitely deserve to be a WrestleMania match with the Street Profits. I mean, if it's going to be the Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly versus the Motor City Machine Guns, you add in DIY and Los Garzas, I'm in on it.
As far as Street Profits are concerned, it seemed like they had a little bit of a lull. Well, maybe 6 months, maybe even a year, but I'd say maybe like 6 months. They're kind of back on top now. What do you think? One, do you think they're going to stay on top for a long period of time, or not a long period of time, for a decent amount of time, or do you think there's some things coming? There's some changes are coming.
I think they're going to be around for a bit. It's just pretty much where you're going to have a storyline. And plus, I think they can go back to Pretty Deadly and have a very good rivalry with them, because that match was definitely insane. And plus, it would be nice to have like legitimate storylines with other tag teams within the division. So I wouldn't mind seeing them like go back to Pretty Deadly. I wouldn't mind them to at least have a rivalry with Los Garzas. So it's nice to see a lot of competition in there, and I'm happy it is starting to get a little bit of spotlight on SmackDown.
And then what we didn't mention, but one of my favorite parts was LA Knight versus Braun Strowman, ending in a no contest due to Jacob Fatu, who seems like he's on a mission regardless if the family's with him or not. It wasn't the change, but it seems like he's going to be another splinter cell of, the bloodline, and a whole nother, universe that's going to be happening. What up, Fernando? What do you think Jacob kind of outlined what he wants to do, but where do you think the trajectory for Jacob Fatu will be in the next WrestleMania and beyond?
I think a lot of people are pointing this with him versus Solo at WrestleMania. But after what happened, I wouldn't mind seeing a triple threat for the US title at WrestleMania, because we already know they announced it this past Friday. Jacob Fatu is meeting Braun Strowman in a last man standing match this Friday on SmackDown. So there's a lot that could go wrong. I would not be shocked if LA Knight came in there and beat up the both of them after what happened last week. So there's a lot that can really happen with those two, but I wouldn't mind seeing Jacob versus Solo at WrestleMania.
That will definitely be a good one with that. Then we had Naomi attacking B-Fab, and then we had she dropped it. I believe it. I don't know if it aired on SmackDown, but it was definitely circulated. Okay, it was circulating through social media. First off,
that was fire. That was fire.
It was fire. Naomi's known for her hair. I've been trying to tell her she needs to get a hairline forever. So hopefully she gets to that. The hair was on point. The outfit change. It was a darker Naomi, but the teardrop. I was like, oh, because the thing is, I think, and I don't know if it's everything kind of came together because she has been, doing her acting career. We saw her in Queen of the Ring, etc. Yeah, you were right, Scholar. Naomi was cooking. We saw her in Queen of the Ring. So obviously she's been taking acting lessons, because you can't just hop on Queen of the Ring just because of who you are. So, but that teardrop though, and then the smile at the end, I was like, oh, this is what we doing? Okay. I had to say Trinity. This is all right. I don't know if the TK lingo means that what Scholar is saying. She was definitely cooking. Yeah. I'm so proud of her, because I think a lot of people didn't think that she could do it. Myself being one of them, I was like, she's just too nice. She wouldn't be able to. But that
she did it. She was
Yeah.
able to do that so perfectly. And also that caution tape, because I was telling Honey this, I said it reminds me of like Owen Hart when he wore that caution tape. And just for her to do that so well, I said, oh my God. She said this in an article too. She said, if I'm going to go heel, I am going all the way. And I'm having no setbacks whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. It was absolutely beautiful. So with that being said, I almost think, because remember that people said the same thing about Bailey, right? That she couldn't, it wasn't possible between the two of them, because they're both such nice people. Ironically, they were in, was it Alaska or somewhere? They were somewhere in, somewhere I wanted to be. Like, look, I need vacation. But anyways, between the two of them, which one had the better or has the better heel turn?
That's actually an interesting question. I want to say Naomi, but I actually going to lean a lot towards Bailey, because I will never forget the moment that she ripped off those inflatable hands on SmackDown and just ripped everything from Hugger Bailey. It was just like, that was just a 360 turn. It was just completely 360. And when she did that promo, it was just like, now we're seeing a side of Bailey we haven't seen before.
I mean, I don't know. I think I asked the question now. I kind of think it's almost a tie, because they're both so, maybe Bailey, because she was, Naomi is family friendly. They both were family friendly, but the hugger thing kind of put it more like, this is for kids, versus Naomi's like, she was just there. And then there was a part where Naomi was talking about like, who did you look up to, Bianca? Like, Jay, was it like all these, like, I don't know, she wrote it, who helped her write it, what, it was just beautiful. And with that being said, we had Charlotte Flair and Meechim defeats Meechim by submission. So we have Charlotte in the wings. Like, the women's division, and we talked about it, NXT wise, it's been cooking. But this SmackDown, when you look at the women's matches and you look what's in play, like, where's Charlotte? What's Charlotte? What do you think is going to happen with Charlotte as far as how everything's playing out leading up to WrestleMania and beyond?
Because I know not this past week, but 2 weeks ago, Tiffany really beat the crap out of Charlotte, because I wanted to see a lot of firepower in her. I really want to see that. And I know Will's going to say that on his client too, because that is Miss Tiffy. But I just wanted to see a lot of fire with her. And also, as much as we did not like Charlotte being the winner, we're just very concerned because we don't want her to bury Tiffany. And I would like to see Tiffany be on top at WrestleMania, but hopefully Charlotte, not gonna get my fingers crossed and not make assumptions, but at least do the right thing and put Tiffany over, because they're like, Becky was able to do that with a few women, and so did Bailey, and even when Sasha was here in WWE. But it's just like a matter of time. Like, is she going to put Tiffany over, or does she want to break the record and get the belt? But also, and also another thing that I saw on SmackDown too, and this actually happened the first time when Jade came into WWE. Her and Charlotte had a stare down with each other. So that's kind of teasing it somewhere down the line, because they're going to have a match somewhere down the line, probably like either SummerSlam or later in the year. So that's something. But I would like to see Miss Tiffany be put over at WrestleMania.
And we have Ringside Society saying ACW should do something for the summer in New York or Jersey. So just FYI, ACW is going to be in Bahamas this weekend. So if you're in the Bahamas, you definitely want to check them out. They'll also be back in the Bahamas, I believe, in June. And we also have on the deck is Trinidad and Barbados. So there's quite a few trips internationally. As far as stateside, I mean, tweet them. I'm not the boss. I would like to go to New York. Shoot. Yeah, so that just wanted to answer that question over on Instagram lane. Thank you guys for checking us out on Instagram. Skylar saying, I wouldn't be surprised if Naomi/Jade was scheduled for SmackDown before WrestleMania, but they didn't expect them to be the best women's feud going right now. That's an interesting question because I think we all knew that Jade was going to have beef with either Bianca or Naomi. Mm-hmm. Like when you brought them together. And I think my telling thing is, and I know Professor doesn't want to hear this because we've argued back and forth about it. A tag team to me is not a tag team unless they have the same gear, the same music, and just a cohesive name. When you introduce in one and the other, that means they're not going to be together forever, which is fine. But it's just like almost like, you know, getting married and you have a prenup. Like you expecting to get divorced. Not saying that I won't have a prenup because I definitely will. But I'm just saying I get it. So with that being said, like I don't know. Did you? I guess that's a good question. Did you expect it to be as hot as it is now, or did you expect it like they're going to turn on each other? We're no longer friends anymore and do the thing that they've been doing for years.
Something had to give, especially when Jay got attacked, because we all came in the assumption like it was Bianca or was it Naomi? And sooner or later it had to be pull the trigger. But when Naomi did that, I was just like, okay, this is really getting interesting. I really want to know what happened. And also, somebody on the panel made this prediction, but I think Naomi did not do this by herself. And somebody said the Meta Girls helped Naomi attack Jade, Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson. So that's a possibility too, because I don't think Naomi did this alone, and it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, this is a really interesting rivalry. And also after WrestleMania, because Bianca, of course, she's going to be facing off against Io Sky at WrestleMania, so we don't know what the outcome is going to be. But pretty sure after WrestleMania, she wants Jade.
Can you imagine if the Meta Girls and Naomi? It's almost like a Marvel, like the Marvel thing where they're having like a civil war, and it's like the Meta Girls and Naomi versus like Bianca and Jade, and I don't know if there's somebody else in that mix. Like, I in my years of covering this, and when I started in 2017, and when I just saw it was like Alicia Fox and Naomi. And I related way more to Naomi just in, you know, just in essentially complexion. We'll just put it like that. If you guys are aware of that whole thing. And I never thought at that period that we would see this. Like it's I mean, I'm stupefied. I'm excited. I'm scared. In a good way, because you know, I don't know how y'all feel, but you know, it's just kind of like if people are fighting, you don't want everybody else to see the fight. If this is within house, so it's there's part of that with me too. But you know, if you know, you know. And then we have Drew McIntyre defeats Randy Orton. What did you think of this match?
It was a very solid match, but of course, that's going to lead to Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre. I mean, they're going to have a match at WrestleMania, but apparently when Damian slammed Drew McIntyre in that car, it was actually real glass he got in his eye. It was real.
God bless them. Y'all need to put respect on these. You can't be tweeting them crazy stuff. They're putting their body on the line for this. It's crazy. And then we had Jimmy Uso defeating The Miz. Like, I think after R-Truth, The Miz deserves, I guess, whatever the wrestling equivalent to, not a slammy, but an overall wrestling equivalent to an Oscar. It'd be R-Truth and then The Miz, because I bought it.
I will say with the Miz, because when he first came on, he was annoying when he first came on. I couldn't stand him one bit, but I will say he put a lot of work in throughout the years. He put in a lot of work in. He main evented WrestleMania. He teamed up with Alex Riley at one point when he was champion, and being in so many other feuds. But he has really done much, and man, he's a 8-time Intercontinental Champion. He just has to break the record.
And I mean, it's I don't think he's stopping anytime soon. No. Whatever contract he has is a really good one, because I don't want to say he goes and comes at these planes. Obviously, it's very scheduled, but the timing, like his timing is like perfect. It's almost the same timing as, not the exact same timing, but like how R-Truth's timing in. We see him and we don't see him for a little bit, but when he comes, we're always happy to see him.
Yeah.
So I'm about that too. Another thing that's going to be happening is WWE is going to induct classic matches into the Hall of Fame this year. One, what do you think about that as far as inducting matches? And then two, I think the first match is it Stone Cold and Bret Hart? Yeah, I believe that's the first match that's going to be inducted. So the second question is, how do you see this playing out? Like, are we gonna see Stone Cold and Bret Hart come and like see the, like how does this play out?
I kind of wish Honey was here, because this is like her hero, Bret Hart. This is her hero. But you know, people, WrestleMania 13, because I wasn't around wrestling, but they always bring up Bret versus Stone Cold for WrestleMania 13, and that was definitely a match that highlighted that time, and also two of the biggest stars in wrestling going at it, because I think people are now starting to realize they were at the top tier of their game, and also the impact that they created too. I mean, I would not be shocked if Austin was there or Bret was there. So that would be really interesting. And I'm sure they probably had a lot of back and forth leading up to that match. And plus, I actually found a little fact that Bret will be a 3-time Hall of Famer for the first time ever.
This is crazy. It's. I mean, do you wear all 3 rings? There's so many questions.
I don't know. That would be really interesting, but you know, it's always nice to see Stone Cold and Bret Hart, and also I would not be shocked if Austin made a cameo at WrestleMania, either Saturday or Sunday.
So, Jeffrey's saying Stone Cold and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13 are both and both of them are going to be there for the match induction. But how does that, like, I feel like, how does this play out? Do you say like, congratulations, we did a great job, or do you continue with there's so many different ways to skin the cat?
There's so many different angles. I mean, they should at least have him say like their own spiel. They should at least have him say it. But
this one, Antonio Phillips saying, I wouldn't mind if Jade had her own faction, Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, and Jade. If she lets her contract expire, Britt Baker.
Oof. Man. Man.
I mean, if we see something like this, I might actually forgive WWE for not allowing Naomi to be part of the bloodline in the WWE world, and because that was a miss, I feel. If we have something like that plays out, it's not a one-off. That plays out, because it's like you had Lash Legend and Jade that had that stare down like a year or two ago. Like,
yeah.
Okay. Special nobody's saying my pick would be the Wild Samoans versus Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas for the WWF tag team titles. As a black kid, that match made me fall in love with pro wrestling. Reimer saying, I mean, Booker T wears all his 2 rings. Even in the shower. I had to read that second part because I'm like, how do you know? Okay.
Booker.
Right. All right, there it is. I mean, something that we definitely have to see. Well, we don't have to see, but we're going to see how this plays out. So Cody made reference to this in the Complex article where he says that Travis Scott's there's some pay pack that's going to be in play for that. How do you think that's going to play out? Because Travis Scott has been training, so do you think we're going to see something SummerSlam, WrestleMania, a one-off? Another show in Atlanta? Like, how do you think this is going to play out? Because Cody can beat the brakes off of him, but then does it really count?
It should, because first off, he got the crap beat out of him at Elimination Chamber. He hit him in the head. And also, I think, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm pretty sure me and a lot of other people would be happy to see Cody Rhodes beat the crap out of Kylie's baby daddy. He needs to beat the crap, because first off, you slapped him right in his ear and almost gave him like a black eye. So it would be nice to see Cody he gets retribution helpful to somebody beat up on Travis Scott.
So how do you see it play out? Do you think this is going to come WrestleMania, or do you think this is going to be something that's done? This is the seed that's planted because now when I think about it, that bunny, it was a seed that was planted, and then we saw him do it twice. So do you think this is something that is going to progress, where we're going to see almost Travis Scott do something like a Bad Bunny, where he actually has a legitimate match against Cody Rhodes?
I don't want to say no, but I'm very curious on what's going to happen, like WrestleMania and even afterwards. I'm very curious after WrestleMania, like, what are they going to do for SummerSlam? Like, what is going to be their plan? And curious on how Travis Scott fits into all this, because he's with the final boss. He's working under him. So it's pretty much on what the final boss wants and what he says.
Yeah. This is what I love about what's happening right now, because I thrive, as for some of you guys who watch often enough. I love reading the back of the book first. You can give me all the spoilers you want. I'll be fine. But it also excites me when I have no idea what's going to happen. It can go so many different directions. And this is the era that we're in right now, that there are so many stories, so many things that are in play across the board with so many different wrestlers, that it's anybody's game. So there is that excitement with that. Another thing that is happening as far as excitement is or congratulations. So there's a museum exhibit in her hometown, Miss Elizabeth, in Kentucky. They'll pay tribute to Miss Elizabeth 2 decades after her death. The exhibit, titled "The Lovely Miss Elizabeth," opens this Monday and will showcase her life, professional wrestling career, and lasting legacy. And it'll be open for 2 years. Do you have you ever been to Kentucky?
No, I never been to Kentucky.
Do you want to go to Kentucky?
I actually do want to see the museum, because the minute
wait, that wasn't the question. The question is, do you want to go to if the museum wasn't there, was Kentucky on your list of places to go to?
I had to think about this too, because
that's the answer. You have to think about it. It wasn't on your list.
It wasn't on my list, but Kentucky was on my list. But I mean, it's not on my list.
It's like,
but
people from Kentucky don't bring the smoke. Look, Kentucky wasn't on my list, but now Kentucky's on my list because I want to see this.
Yeah, I kind of want to see this too, because I mean, it's nice that they're paying tribute to the first lady of wrestling.
You know what I thought when I saw this? Is like, damn, why it gotta be in Kentucky though?
I know, it's like Kentucky of all places.
See, because Kentucky wasn't on your list. Jeffrey's saying, the pod says it. I'm saying, and no hate to Kentucky. No hate to Kentucky. It just wasn't. There's so many places to go in the world. It just wasn't on my list. There's no disrespect there. I'm sure Toronto's not on a lot of people's list, or Guyana's not on a lot of people's. I know Guyana's not on a lot of people's list, because most people think Guyana is Ghana. Like, it's just, I get it. It just wasn't on my list. So I was looking at this and like, okay, well, I guess, the figure go to Kentucky. but it is nice to be honored. And I'm really curious to see how what it looks like. So for those who do happen upon it, or find their way in Kentucky, or they're in Kentucky, take pictures and tag us. So I want to see what it looks like. So I think you said when we first started, you said you were watching Raw, and not to give any spoilers.
Nope.
To folks, I don't mind. Is the uncle's nearest distillery?
I think it is in Kentucky. I believe it is.
Okay.
Because they do have a lot of distilleries in
You
Kentucky.
seem more excited about the distillery than the just.
Well, a little fact: when I worked at my previous PR agency, one of my clients was a distillery in Kentucky.
Okay, well, there it is. Without giving any spoilers for Raw, is there any matches that we should be excited to see?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I think there's a shift change between Jey Uso versus Gunther in their rivalry.
Okay.
Because if you mess with family, that's what Jey does. But it does give a lot of boost into that. And also, the tag team division is shifting on Raw after tonight. It's very, very exciting. Not to give any spoilers, because came on at 3 today from London, but the tag team division has definitely shifted a bit, and it actually got me hooked on it again, because there has been a little bit lacking of consistency, and especially not giving the War Raiders any specific directions. But also, I just have to say, the promo between John and Cody. I'm sorry. I know John's been on the last couple weeks, but Cody was on fire. I don't care what anybody says. Cody, he was just on fire.
Okay. And I saw that Bianca was doing some reffing between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley.
Yes. And it was very decent, but I'll let Seth talk about it in his post show later tonight, because yeah, there was a lot of interesting things with the aftermath of that match. But also, if you did watch Raw, and if you follow WWE on socials, Adam Pearce just made another match official for WrestleMania.
Okay. Oh man, oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the results. Y'all want to definitely watch this. With that, I'm not giving any spoilers. I'm just saying you guys want to watch it. Like, I haven't watched it, but I'm looking at the results, and you guys definitely watch it. Reimer Jeffrey saying it was a decent Raw tonight. Okay, it was a decent. With that being said, I think it's that time. It's that time to get out of here. A lot of different things happening. There are 2 major interviews that are dropping this week on WWT that you definitely want to check out. One person's a current champion, and one person, this is gonna be easy layup if you can figure out. One person just dropped the book. So we have those 2 interviews dropping this week. So you'll definitely want to check that out. Like I said, you want to check out ACW in the Bahamas live and direct this Saturday. So come up and say hi. I will be there. There's not going to be a commentary team. I'm just going to be helping out the front office, doing some front office things. So definitely, if you see me, see the black girl with the blonde hair, then that's most likely me. But yeah, so many different things happening. We have our Raw post show that's happening tonight. We have our NXT watch along and post show happening tomorrow. We have our Wednesday Night Rice AEW happening on Wednesday, SmackDown. So many things that you definitely want to check out. But with that being said, Miss Courtney, where can everybody find you?
They can always find me here. I mean, I'm always here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for WWT Live. I will not be on Wednesday, but there will be a watch along for AEW Dynamite. It is the final Dynamite before Dynasty. And also, breaking news, I will not be doing a watch along for AEW Dynasty. I will be there in person. So you guys get to watch it among yourselves for Dynasty. So you do not want to miss the final Dynamite before AEW Dynasty. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter on @CourtneyNJ11, because there's a lot of content happening. And even though Women's History Month has wrapped, we still got some content happening for Queen of the Ring. We still got
Mhm.
content coming out. There's a lot that's happening. So feel free to check not just me out on social, but also WWT everywhere on socials as well.
There it is. And you can follow me everywhere at TK Trinidad. So much things going on. So many great things going on. So you can follow me there. But yeah, more importantly, make sure you follow Women's Wrestling Talk on all social media platforms at www.talkpod.com and check out our website at I just said that. Check out our website as well. With that being said, thank you guys so much for there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for now.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.